Welcome back, fellow shop rats. What we have here is the brake pedal assembly out of Fat Fanny, the 47.4 street rod that we're building. We need to replace the bushing there and a couple of other things and get this thing refurbished. It's really sloppy. I never took care of it before when the body was off, which I should have, but we're going to go after it today and get this thing fixed up and straightened out. We went uptown to our local hardware store and bought a nice bushing. It's the correct ID, which is .750. We just need to machine it down to be the correct OD, and then also we need to make it the right length because it's a bit too long. So a little bit of machine work today to get this done. We're going to get after it. I'm Mike.
This is My Cars Shop.
There is just a little bit of the old bushing left in there we need to get out of the way so that we can work on this. So we're going to chuck this up here in this vise and try not to break it. Remember, this is the one we MIG welded up a while ago. So far it's been working good, but I still try to take it easy. And I think the easiest way to get this out of here is to just split what's left of that bushing. So let's see how we can do. We might end up putting a little bit of a split or a little bit of a cut in the brake pedal itself, but that'll be fine. Not sure I'm all the way through yet. I'm trying to see. Nope, I'm not quite. I'm through on the other side, but not up here. I'm still seeing copper, not silver. There it goes. Fell right out. Here's one part of it right there. There's another part over there. And the rest of it is, well, there's another piece in there yet. The way that Ford actually made this is they used two small bushings, one on each side with a space in the middle. I don't know why they made it that way, except maybe it was easier to get it in there by pressing in from each side. And then also there's a grease zerk here. I'm undetermined if I'm going to do it that way or not. I very well may just make one big bushing to push in there. On the other hand, we may make two small ones and leave a gap in the middle like they did from the factory. We know they were about this wide, so we could potentially do that. What we don't know is the OD. And right now, I can only ballpark it because apparently I'm out of batteries for my caliper, and the graduations here are not the best. But we're going to go ahead and... Is there still another piece in there? Is it like a ragu? I can't tell if it's in there or not. I don't think so. I think it's all out. I do have a hone over there that's a little bit small. Well, we can run some brushes or something in there, or we can make our own little hone to run in there and clean that up. But for now, I think we're good. Let's get a quick dimension on this thing, just ballparkish. I know that it's 0.75, like I said, in the inside. I will pick up some batteries for this tomorrow. It's looking like this is about, yeah, it's about 0.8. So, let's see, 7.75, yeah, 0.80. So, this thing here is 1 inch. I know that. So, we need to take about 200 thousandths off of this thing. And I can't do it accurately enough, but we can get started on it and get it ready to press in there. So we're going to go get the crank out of the lathe. I was working on cleaning some rust up on that, but that can go aside for now. I want to get this done. I thought I'd give you a bird's eye view here on how we're doing this. I got this in there just a little bit. I'm just snugging this down just a Nova. And I need to change my speed on the lathe because I had it down really low for that. Whatchamajiggy, but this center, I don't have a live center that's big enough. My live center, which is one with the bearing, I think that's what it's called, is too small for this. And I think the best way to do is just to use this one. I think it'll do the job just as well, but I need to get the lathe spun up a little bit and check our center and see how we are. It needs to be fairly accurate. It doesn't have to be within thousandths of an inch. All right, so we got her in there. I'm going to give her just a little Doobadobber. We may pull it out and put a little grease in there. We'll see how it goes. Pretty good. I don't have this quite tight enough, but I want to make sure that we're good and centered. Obviously, I can't tell much like that, but at least I can tell that everything's clear. I'm not going to crash any tools. So we'll change our belt speed over to the high speed. I need to go to see my leather working guy in Bay City, Michigan, and see about getting him to make me a new belt for this. Matter of fact, my pin is coming out. That's not good. I got to fix that real quick. Yep, my pin's coming out of the belt. All right, I heard it going clunk, clunk, clunk. I wondered why. Let's see what we got. It's pretty good. The problem I'm going to have is I'm going to start getting into my tool here if I'm not careful. So what we may do is not machine it down all the way to the center. And we can only come in. I got to get my brake lever over here and see where we need to stop. We got to be real careful about crashing our tool here as well. However, we can, bring our tool in like this at a bit of an angle to be able to cut in there. So we'll dig out our cutting bits and see which one makes the most sense and get this set up. Just getting a ballpark here. How wide it needs to be. So it needs to be about right there. Again, we're not looking for perfection. And then, of course, if we're going to make two, we'll be splitting it there. I don't know if we'll use a parting tool on here to chop one off, but I'm going to have a problem because this is too far in here for me to part it off. Let's say that's our line. Yeah, no matter what, even if I spun that around, well, I could part one, take it off, and then part the other one. Maybe I would have enough room. We'll see. I don't even know if I have a parting tool. One of these days I want to get a quick tool post, and I also want to take this unit off of here if I can, because every little bit there's a little bit of play. If I don't normally, this is only used for basically for cutting taper. So at some point I'll make a new stanchion for this and get a quick post. But for now it works. All right, we're just at center there, so that should cut all right. Maybe that's our angle. No, it needs to go down just a nova. I think that's good. Yep, okay, so what I'm looking for is the cutting bit to be against this and have back so that all we have is a very tip of the cutter, and I think we're there. So I need to bring this in more now. This way. Darn it. I really wanted that to be square, but it's just not hip to be a square. Okay, and I can't lock that one. Just got to remember not to touch it, but let's tighten this down now, and we'll see how we do. Now, the other thing I want to do is set my tool stop down here so that we can't possibly crash this thing. Because Houston, we already have a problem. Yeah, I am not comfortable with that being there. I didn't get my angle enough, so I need to go back and reset this again. I want to be sure that I can reach into here all the way without crashing the tool here. So it's tight tolerances, but this was the longest sleeve I could get, and this was the way I chose to go. So what I've done is I've gone and set my stop here a little bit extra shy. I can always come in and dress a little more if I needed to. I suppose the other thing, no, I don't think. I'll say I could maybe change out for my other job, but I don't think so. I think I'm going to have this problem no matter what. But I can only come in here so far, right there. So I'm about 1/8 of an inch shy of where I want to be on that line, but I'm not terribly sure that line is accurate. The second thing is if I part these, I only can, when I press them in, they don't have to meet in the middle, so I can probably get away with a certain width on that anyway. Let me check that width against one of those old ones. Okay, I just looked, and here's where we're at. So about here and here is where they're going to be if I allow a parting tool thickness, or if I use a saw to cut that for a saw blade width. I still have an extra 3/16 of an inch down here that I can come into by adjusting my spindle down here, my depth gauge, whatever you want to call it. I've got my drive set up. I'm just going to do a dry run real quick from stop to stop before I start cutting, just to make sure everything clears. Looks pretty good. I would rather be going in this way, but I just don't want to take a chance on crashing the tool even with the stop. I don't want to So this is what I'm doing. The tool angle is not the best. I would like to be in this way more, but because I have to come in here so far, if this was hard steel, we couldn't get away with it, but I'm comfortable with this. So let's do another cut. So now that I've gone down so far, I'm trying to get a little better finish on this. I'm going this way, so I'll be paying more attention here. It is definitely cutting better now, getting a little less chatter. Part of it is I'm not taking nearly as much. I'm within, I would say, maybe 50 thousandths of where we need to be. I'm going to have to stop here at some point because I just don't have the batteries to measure my caliper, put in my caliper. I'll get those tomorrow. I should have got them today. I just thought I had some, so I didn't. But anyway, we're getting close, and it's looking good so far. So the next thing I want to do is hone this out a little bit, and I don't have a hone that size. I thought I did. So what I'm doing, hopefully this is going to work, is I'm taking some emery paper. This is just 150. I'm going to put some tape on here to hold it to the drill bit, then wrap it around there, and then we'll run that in there to see. That's not going to work. I got to find, there it is, some duct tape. I think this is going to be our best option. It's just a cheap and dirty way of cleaning that hole up a little bit. We're not, we're not building a race engine here or anything, so it doesn't have to be, really tight tolerances, but by the same token, sticks pretty good there. So we'll get that wrapped around the drill bit, just a bit around the bit. You can see what I'm doing. It's just to give it a little bite. Yep, that works. I don't need it to be tight in there at all. I just want to be able to put my drill on it and spin it, and then we'll get some lubrication in there a little bit, and Actually, it's doing pretty good in there. I'm doing real well in there. I'm going to get a little PB blaster and get a little liquidation on it, and then he'll have a liquidation sale. See what we got in there. Oh, that's just splendiferously lovely. Let me show you. That's all I'm looking for. Doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done. This is the saw mark that I made in it right there. That's fine. That doesn't hurt a dang thing because there's a bushing in there, right? So it's all good. Recommendation for a bushing this size with the thin wall that this is, if I make this pressing in too tight, the problem I'm going to have is it's going to crush the ID. And I already checked the ID and it fits the bushing perfect. The bushing fits on the shaft perfectly. So we need to be really careful because we don't want to make the press interference too much so that it squishes down the ID. Then I'll be honing out the bushing trying to get it to fit on the shaft. So I think the recommendation for a bushing about this size, which is about 800 thousandths, is a half a thousandths to 2 thousandths. I'm going to be going more for a half a thousandths to a thousandths. If it's too loose, I can always Loctite it in, so I'm not that worried about it. The second thing is it's kind of captured in there, especially if I don't make this two pieces. If I leave it all one piece, it does definitely give me more room in there. Now, I believe that the groove in there is for holding grease. So, I suppose I could just machine a groove in it, but the walls on this bushing are pretty thin, and I don't want to get too carried away. So it's turning out really nice. I'm pretty pleased with it. Show you what the end looks like so far. See what we got here. I can't tell you exactly how thick our wall is, but let's get over here. So you can see our original diameter. You can see how far we've already taken it down. And then you can kind of see in there how much we have left. I do have a little teeny bit of a ridge on here because of this tool. Like I said, it's not an active center. It's passive center. So it is generating a lot of heat and putting heat into the part. But I'm at the point now, I think, where I really need to just chill and wait till tomorrow when I can determine where I'm at with my caliper. Caliper's not the best way to do it, but it's the only thing I have. I don't have an inside mic that's going to be small enough for this. Or did I buy a full set? Seems like maybe I bought a full set of snap gauges. I better check. Okay, when I was working on the 413, I did pick up a set of hole gauges, but they only go up to 1/2 inch, so they're not going to help me on this project. And I don't think I'm going to bother. We're not talking tolerances that much, so it'll be fine. We'll just ballpark it. And I think as long as I can take this when I get close and start to press it on here by hand, I think we'll be okay. I just got to be really careful because I don't want to lose my center on it. It's pretty centered right now. But this passive center does definitely help. So we'll just leave that alone. And like I said, if I get it too loose, there's several different ways you can do it. You can take a pin punch, a center punch, I should say, and pick little dimples in here to help hold it when you press it in. You can use Loctite. They have cylindrical bond Loctite, JB Weld. There's all kinds of ways to hold that in there. So obviously we're going to do the best we can, but I'm not really sweating it. I've done tons and tons of stuff like this, and it'll be just fine. We're going to leave it there today. Pick up with it tomorrow after I get batteries. I already said that. So yeah, we'll be back. Don't very often carry an episode over, but I got home a little bit early from work today, and I had some time before I have to stow and start making supper, or go and start making supper. One of the two. But it's time to go do up some salmon for my little goddess. So I'm going to get after that, and we will see you tomorrow. You can rock if you want. It's okay. We got batteries. So that's good. So I measured this the best I can with this cheap piece of junk. It comes out at about 80. Re-zero it. It's off a little bit. Okay, there we go. Comes out at just about 813. So I measured this. If I measure this with this, the accuracy isn't as much. Comes out at like 840. If I measure it with my mic, which is more accurate, comes out at about, yeah, actually it's about 840. So yep, okay, because it's 810. 20, yep, so about the same. Okay, so I was reading the mic wrong. This thing is so old and rusty that it's hard to read, so I got to get this cleaned up someday. But anyway, so we got to take off about 40 thousandths. We're going to sneak down into it carefully, see what we can do. I'm also going to put a little bit of grease in here just to keep it from building up quite as much heat on this surface here. So I'll be right back. We'll get that done, and then we'll take another pass at it. So we'll get this in place where it just touches. We'll check our numbers here, see where we're at, and we'll take off another 15 thousandths on this pass and see where we're at. I'm leaving my tool just off a little bit. And, we're in a DIY home shop, so we're not expecting, micron tolerances. This is a very old piece of equipment, but yet fairly accurate as well. So actually, we worked out pretty well where we're at right there. I took my Scotch-Brite to clean some of this stuff. I haven't spent as much time cleaning everything up on this as I should, but I think we're golden. So let's give her a shot here, and we'll take off 15 thousandths and see where we end up at. I'm only going to take 10. We're just going to take 10 right now. So our mic on there, see where we're at. I think we're pretty good there. We're at, see if you can see that. 8. First tick is 25, 35, 36, 30, about 838. Let's double check that with the caliper and see where we're at. Zeroing the caliper. I saw 837. Okay, we're coming up. It's really difficult here. It was at 837. When you take it off, it loose. Even though I tightened it, it's not the most accurate. But we're within a few thousand, so we're fine. I can't measure this as accurately. This is not the best instrument for measuring stuff like this, but if we can get it within. So this is at about 811, 810. Let's call it an 810. That's what we're shooting for. And I said we were at 835, was it? Yeah, about 835, and so that was 810. So we need to take another 20,000. Being as I was starting fresh for the day, I wasn't totally sure where I was at with my dial here. I know where I'm at now. I'm set right back to where I made my last cut. So we're going to take another 10 thousandths and see where we're at. So one thing about a lathe this old is it doesn't have a safety stop for coming in that I can set so that it shuts off the drive, and I let it get too close on here and it bound on this, and then I couldn't get it out of gear, so I had to kill the power. So you have to really be on your toes. I would prefer to be cutting the other way, but I get for some reason the way I have this set up, I'm getting a better cut going in, getting a little better finish, so it's just a matter of me staying on my toes and shut the power off if it jams up like that. My fault. I was not paying, wasn't watching here as close as I should have been, partly because I had the camera in there. But anyway, right now we are at 830. Almost positive. Let's see. There's 0, 5, 835, 830. Let's make sure I'm right. Yep, 836. So we need to go a little bit more. And I'm at 40 here. So let's take another. We want to be at 810, 8. I'd like to be between 815 is where I ultimately want to end up. So let me double check that with the caliper. Probably the last pass. I'm taking another 5 thousandths off right now. We'll see where we end up. I did test the brake pedal there for a second. It goes in one end a little teeny bit. The other end it won't go into yet. It doesn't surprise me that thing isn't necessarily really, accurately true through that. It's old. But we'll put this down and keep an eye on this, and then we'll see where we're at. I'm on my last pass right now. I'm taking another about 2 thousandths off of it. So we're going to end up with, let's see, we should be at about 0.815, I think, is where so that would be about 5 thousandths ish. So maybe a little more than that, but I want to sneak into it. I also want to hit that with a Scotch-Brite, so we'll lose just a little teeny bit with that. So I hit that with a Scotch-Brite. It's at 1.5. So 1.5 thousandths of interference fit. So we're going to very carefully and gently move this out of the way up in here. I don't want to lose my setting here by cranking that way back yet. We're going to move this back out of the way. Not far enough to remove the tool, just far enough to get it out of the way. Then we're going to slide our bed back. Let's get our brake pedal in here gently without trying to knock it off center. Knock the bushing off center. It'll press in on that end, no problem. And it will press in on that end, no problem, and we shouldn't get too much crush. So I think we're going to be okay. Now, the next determination we've got to make is, are we going to do this as one bushing or not? I know the factory was 2, so there was a gap between, so when you squirted grease into the grease zerk, right here, it would go all the way around in there, but I don't think I want to do it that way. I think I'm going to make this just one bushing, and we are going to press it in from this side, and then we'll pull this out and drill a hole through it, and we'll call it good. And we'll, of course, when we put it on, we'll grease it real well. So I know that this to the shaft in the car, that shaft is a little bit worn, so I think we'll be able to get grease around it without a problem. Again, it's a car that's not going to see 100 bazillion miles anyway, so this is the thinking I'm taking. So let's see. The next thing I want to do then is probably part this off. We went from a piece that was, I forget how thick. Let's see how thick this is now. So our wall thickness on that bushing is about 52 thousandths now. So I can't remember what the thickness was before, but it was significantly more than that. I don't remember what size the bushing was that I bought. We can check it once I get it out of here. So now I got to dig around, see if I have a nice parting tool, and we got to determine exactly where we're going to part this thing. Because of my lack of tooling and where this is in this particular lathe, I can't get at it with a parting tool anyway. So I'm going to take this cutter and just run it in as far as I can, and if we have to, we can finish it off by hand. Just like that. I was going to bring you over here and let you see it close up, but it happened so fast that I couldn't. But that's fine. We're loose, we're loose. Okay. And here, needing a little dress up, but there's our bushing. I love making stuff like this. I'd much rather make something like this than buy it. So I'm just using a countersink, going against the end, cleaning it up, getting all the burrs out of it. We don't want it to be cold, no burr. Okay, that's got it pretty good. Take a piece of emery. The thing is so thin, I don't want to take a chance on crushing it, so I'm not putting it in anything to hold it at all. I wish it wasn't so crappy out. I'd bring the 47 up and put it in here, but it's really cold and windy out today, so. Okay, it looks really good. I'm pleased with that. And I checked it in the pedal, and we have just a slight interference fit. It starts to go in about that far and then binds up, which is good, which means it's not going to crush it and decrease our ID and give us a problem. So I'm going to go check this on the car, make sure it fits good. I'll be right back. And here's where it goes, right down here. Slips right on there nicely. A little tight, but not bad. And then there's supposed to be a big C-clip that goes on there that I don't have. But yeah, it fits nice. What is this? I don't know. So anyway, that'll be where it goes with the brake pedal. So my next step now is I want to get this brake pedal reconditioned as far as just getting it cleaned up and painted and get the zerk out of it and all that stuff. So that when I press that bearing in there, that bushing in there, this is ready to put back in the car. So we got a job of work to do, getting all this stuff cleaned up and painted. So we're going to do that, and then we'll be back. Probably. Well, you'll be along for the ride anyway, so it'll be fine. Remember that around here, it's always about just spending the day in the shop, working on whatever has to be done, painstaking details, everything, to give you a realistic view of doing this kind of work. Got the brake pedal cleaned up and pad cleaned up and glued in. I put that in the lathe and just spun it. It's just aluminum. The reason I had tape on it before was because the pad had come off years ago, so I siliconed that back in. So we'll let that aside, let that dry, put it right there so I can't find it, so remind me when I'm looking for it, where I put it. Now our next step is just to get this all wire brushed up and painted. So I'll get that done real quick, and then we'll be right back. All right, got it in the oven, baking. We'll let it be there for a while. So it's dry to the touch, although it already is. Once that's dry, we'll get the bressing pushed in. Yeah, the bushing pressed in. Trying to figure out the best way to press this in, and I think this is going to be it. I found a bolt with the size of shoulder that matches the sleeve size there. I'm going to press this in from the loosest side, which I believe is this side. Yes, it is. So that's good. It actually starts to fit in there nicely. And then, of course, I'm going to give it just a little bit of Wiener slider to ease the process. I thought about making a press tool for this, an installation tool, but I don't think it's necessary. We'll do it this way. We'll see how the old dake works. I don't use this a lot, but it is handy to have once in a great while. Hopefully my bolt comes back out of there again. Well, look at that. I just about press it in like that. Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, I think our bolt is hitting now. Yep, it is. So let's get something with a hole in it. Put a socket under there and press it the rest of the way. Okay. It's like a ragu. It's in there. All right, let me tappy tap that out of there. And we'll see what we got. It's going to work nice. The lead in, I'm leaving it a little bit offset because of getting it down in that car next to that turbo 350 transmission. I'm afraid that it might not go in easily. So I actually don't mind the bushing being offset this way just a little bit. But it looks nice if you can see in there. You see in there? There you go. So my next trick, I need to take this out and then drill a hole so the grease can get in there. Go! Popped through there faster than I was expecting. I guess I should have realized it's pretty thin. All right, I got to run my little honey thing in there real quick to clean things up, and we should be good. Just get the burrs off because, again, it's cold. You see there? Just gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. All right, we'll take a walk over to the other garage and see what we can do about putting this in the car. Hopefully I have everything we need. Windy today. A little warmer now, though. It feels like it's closer to 60. It was in the 40s earlier. Hopefully, we're good to go. I don't know that I'm going to be able to film for you in here, but that's where it goes. Right down there, I showed you before. So hopefully we can snake this down in there onto that. Just like so, and well, we'll be right back. So there we go. It's on there. We have brakes again. I did not get the opportunity to put the cross pin in, so we still have some play in there. It's a pain in the butt to get at. I really need to get the car up on the hoist in the shop and take care of that. But I have brakes again anyway, so I can move the car. And now our pedal is nice and tight. So I gotta get the E-clip on there. I'm really kicking myself. We had that Eclipse a couple weeks ago. I should have grabbed a couple E-clips at the time. I would have had one for this, but I didn't. So there you go. Well, that was fun. It feels much better. Now I can get a return spring on that brake pedal, and also I need to create a pedal stop so it doesn't come back too far. The other thing we need to create is a brake light switch so we can get the brake lights working. I thought about going with one of those hydraulic switches. I still might. I don't think I bought one. I'll have to look. But if I can put a good old-fashioned, switch on there that just every time you step on the pedal it releases, that's fine. There's many different ways to do it. I know there's ones you can do that you pull switch on the frame, which I think is maybe what they had originally. I don't remember. Anyway, that's as far as I can go today. I got a bunch of stuff I got to get done, and I got guitar students coming, and well, there's just stuff. So thanks for spending some time here in the shop with me once again. I appreciate it, and we will catch you on the next one. Don't forget.
Rock.